Good evening, everybody. Weekly Wall Wagers. Unfortunately, I've already cracked my beer, so we're missing that part. But today I have Will and David with us, both absolute G's. All right. And today we're going to talk about planning. Okay. There are some popular financial planners, some popular guys into wealth management, and we kind of wanted to elaborate a little bit on it. So I decided to take the example because last week or 2 weeks ago we mentioned a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Cash Flow Quadrant. Okay. So we have Robert Kiyosaki, but then we also have Dave Ramsey. Both have extremely large followings. Both have totally opposite views on finance. Robert Kiyosaki built his wealth off of lending. Dave Ramsey decided to work really hard and then never be in debt. Uh, let's talk about it, David.
Yeah, first off, those are some good points, John. First question is, who has the bigger following? Because that was one of the things you said, is they both have big followings, they both built from the ground up. Who is technically bigger? Do we know, or should I look that up real quick?
I think we should look it up, but I don't think it's so much as of how big the following is, but let's rather consider who the following is. What type of population follows Dave Ramsey? What type of population follows Robert Kiyosaki? You know?
If I had to answer that without researching it, you know what my stereotypical answer would be?
I feel like I can guess it already.
Yeah. I would say that people that are in debt, that don't have many assets because they are more in debt than they have liquidity, would be Dave Ramsey kind of people that kind of get into all that, as well as people who have successfully paid debt off and are living a lifestyle that Dave Ramsey teaches. So in that kind of, and he's big in the churches, like, a lot of churches push, the Ramsey program. But Robert Kiyosaki, I feel like a lot of people, when they are starting out in their sales careers or customer service or building like when you're starting out in a phase of growth with big like that's kind of the Robert Kiyosaki base. But at the same time, both of those people have a lot in common. They're at kind of a financial zero, and they have goals in mind of what they want to do and how to get there, and they're educating themselves. But the slim difference is just the theology behind it, or the methodology. Kiyosaki's way is completely different than Ramsey's way, and so it may have to do with personality type, or just depending upon which way you think is bad. I don't know. I'm curious to hear y'all's.
One thing I noticed is I was reading an article and it described Dave Ramsey's podcast, and one of the reasons he gets followed is kind of that father mentality he has, that hard on the line father that's like, that is dumb, I'm going to tell you that's dumb, don't do it, kind of like a slap on the wrist. Robert Kiyosaki, he has the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki kind of follows that mindset of a mentor. Not as punishing for making dumb decisions. Like Dave Ramsey wants you to know you made a dumb decision.
I feel like if you've ever listened to punished by Dave Ramsey though, because like your podcast, you're talking about the Ramsey Show, right? Like his famous radio show that everybody calls into. Like people, man, they start dialing and like they wait on hold. They get in these number queues of people just eager to get on his show and tell them about the dumb financial decisions that they've made, because they're eager to hear Dave's voice and hear Dave chew them out. It's like his followers have like an unhealthy fetish of getting put down with like daddy issues or something, because they know that's what they're getting. They line up for it.
It's like, oh, go ahead, David.
I was saying it's like watching that TLC show, the 600-Pound Life. Like, oh geez, at least I'm not that. And then you listen to those calls, and then you're like, okay, at least I'm not in that financial situation that poor person has put themselves in.
Yeah,
it's But Dave Ramsey, I think he teaches really good core financial tenets. He always teaches that risk analysis when making financial purchases. He loves chewing people out for making dumb ones, because what he really preaches, both metaphorically and literally, because like you said, he is a very religious character. But he always talks about taking all of the aspects of a business decision into account, not going into too much debt unnecessarily. But he does say in some situations, like buying your first house, it does make sense to go into debt. And so there are some situations, like John was saying, that does make sense to go into debt. And so, but I remember when I was first selling TV and internet door to door, they gave us that Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and we were like, hey, read the hell out of this, and then go sell more stuff.
So yeah, I mean that's where Robert Kiyosaki sells most of his books. Is they are sales organizations that purchase his books to then sell to their new sales reps to like get them in the mindset to be able to go sell successfully. Because Kiyosaki is good at teaching it, and he's kind of been doing it for a while, so he's kind of the OG. You know, him and people like
Kiyosaki
Stephen
is
Covey and a few other of those inspirational authors in that department. But basically, I mean, Ramsey and Kiyosaki are both book salesmen at the end of the day.
they really are, and like people don't understand, like Dave Ramsey's only so wealthy because people buy his product. You know, like
Yeah.
he convinces people to buy his
He
product.
convinces people that are poor that need to spend their money getting out of debt to pay him to like be rich to go talk about it. But like so, like I was saying, he has like this humble like thing, I still drive a 20-year-old Toyota Camry and wear worn out leather shoes and pack my lunch every day to work kind of vibe is what Dave Ramsey has. But like at the end of the day, like at least Kiyosaki is just more honest and straightforward and bold about what he's doing to make money instead of tricking people into this is going to save your future. Like Dave Ramsey's is almost a religion. Like
It's like
how
a
they pull
12-step
people together
program.
and buy into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
similar to Scientology.
the thing
The
that
more money you give, like you either buy your way up the ranks, or if you don't have money, you have to come in and like do their program and really work it for a while to prove you've enriched your life with it. I'm talking about Scientology, but that also completely applies to Ramsey's program.
yeah, I think there's one aspect of Ramsey that always just like freaks me out because I've listened to a couple of his episodes. I'm a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki.
Me too. Yeah, I'm. If we're voting, I'm Kiyosaki, but
Kiyosaki by far. But like one thing that always kind of strikes me is like these people know what to do to get out of debt. They know what to do. It's just they need to publicize it on a radio show with a guy who will shout at them. All right, that's the thing that I just boggles my mind. Like they'll call in, and then they will answer their own questions. It's just Ramsey instead is like going after them for it. And I don't know if being publicly humiliated is what will get you moving. I mean, if it is, more power to you.
that's what his people like. They like to be. I mean, like I wonder, like those kind of people that call in on Dave Ramsey and wait in the queue so he can like yell at them for making dumb decisions. Are they the same kind of people that like in the bedroom like to be like tied up and spanked and like? I mean, that's how weird it is to me. It's like you like being publicly humiliated. Like that's clearly a.
I
We're
do
talking
think
about
any of that was
finances,
an
not fetishes
to
here,
blanket
but
out.
I'll just shut up and steer it back to you, John. Y'all do both raise some good points, though.
Yeah, David, Will and I have both expressed our opinion on Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey, but who do you favor? Like at their core principles, who do you think would listening to them as a mentor long term make you more to live or like help you live beer burp to help
Yeah,
you
like
live?
if you had to choose one to be like your life mentor to carry you to success, which would you bet it all on?
I think Robert Kiyosaki would be the obvious option for somebody who is more entrepreneurial minded. Dave Ramsey, like Will was saying, would be focused for somebody trying to get them from underwater in a debt situation. But if you're trying to take it to the stars, then you want somebody like Robert Kiyosaki who's going to give you more advice along those lines to maximize your revenue and your passive income. That's of course why work for money when you can make your money work for you.
You know,
That's very well put, David. Like, if you're underwater completely, like maybe you should pause on the Kiyosaki for a moment and go back to Ramsey's principles. But
Right.
like once you got the fundamentals down with Ramsey, then go back to Kiyosaki.
Exactly.
you know, there's actually an event going on in Denver. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, or if anybody on the show is from Denver. You know, first, follow me on social media because I want to know you. The other part is there's an event that's going to be happening soon by Get Motivated, where Robert Kiyosaki is going to be at the Denver Convention Center on October 14th. So I'm thinking
What
about
day of the
going
week is
to.
that, John? If that's a weekend,
I
I
think
might
I
consider
think that's a
flying out.
Tuesday.
It's on
I
a
think it's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. But if I get it off, you should still fly out. You
That's
know.
what I mean. Like, of course, it could be on a Tuesday. I mean, Robert Kiyosaki selling out an entire arena or stadium on a Tuesday night. Like, he has no
Hold
problem
on.
doing that, I'm sure, because he's fucking
Let me
Robert
mention something
Kiyosaki.
else though.
That's why.
Tickets are free. Crazy. Tickets
That's
are
cool.
free.
Like, I wonder what it costs. Like, not just him, but like his entire team and like market, like, and like the event staff. Like what how many like tens of thousands he has to pay to rent that place out for the night, and like what they have to pay the event staff, what they have to pay the law enforcement, like all that, and like his probably 100 employees that fly around the country with him to put those productions on. I bet he'll sell a shit ton of books though. Like everybody will walk in for free, but they'll walk out buying $140 worth of his books.
Yeah. Well, we also got to remember if you order Rich Dad Poor Dad on Amazon, it's got that like mass media thing. It's pretty much like no matter where you live, it's a day delivery. It's crazy. You know.
They just have it everywhere because it's so mass produced.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's
Like,
just
I
so
mean, I give Kiyosaki credit in that department. Like, I mean, like, for an author, he has just accomplished, like, the highest level of, I mean, it's not the Bible by any means, but, like, I mean, as far as, like, world readers and, number of copies produced over its history and time. But, like, he's just a go-to, like, for just every bookstore will have his books, every company will buy it. Like, it's just the name. I mean, those are some good points. I'm glad you brought that up. We do talk about these authors and these leaders some here on Weekly Law Wagers. We've recommended some of Kiyosaki's books in the past, and we've kind of touched on why a little bit, but we haven't really gone into the man himself. So this is definitely a good point for discussion, and thank you for this tonight, John.
Yeah. Anytime.
So I think if we all took the official vote, it would be Kiyosaki, right?
Absolutely.
Kiyosaki. Y'all have heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Continue to check out our book recommendations here on Weekly Wallet Wagers. We will continue to recommend them and talk about titles that we think are applicable to life, money, and just living greater overall. We'll tell you why, and I explain it as we go through. And of course, we'll never recommend anything we haven't read ourselves. So, again, check us out on social media. Follow us on YouTube at Will's World Podcast or by going to willsworldchannel.com. Thanks, and see y'all next time.
Peace.